6 o'clock. Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will hear the middle school presentation regarding chronic absences, DEIB analysis of student belonging from Mr. Jeff Cervoni.
Excellent. Thank you. Good evening. This is actually, before I even start, this is a really fun topic for me to present on tonight because this is some great news about our school, our middle school, high school, our student body, their interests. So I'm excited to present this to all of you tonight. Good evening, members of the Board of Education, Mrs. May and Superintendent Sortisio. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight about our initiatives at Eden Middle and High School. Our focus is on two critical areas: improving student attendance and fostering a sense of belonging among our students. Tonight, I'll share data, strategies, and the progress we've made in these areas. First, let's look at our attendance data. We are currently maintaining a 95% attendance rate between grades 6 through 12, which is an improvement in previous years, 93% in 22-23 and 94% in 23-24. I've also included some regional historical data. This would be all the districts in the Erie 2 region. You can see Eden fares a bit better than districts in our region, so we're proud of that. On a typical day, we have 3 to 4 students out per grade. However, chronic absenteeism, and we define chronic absenteeism as any student who has 10% absences or 18 total days in a school year. This remains a concern for us. We have 3 students currently classified as chronically absent and about 10 students who are borderline with approximately 10 absences. Long-term medical and suspensions are the only 2 absences that do not count against a student in these reports. We are implementing a multifaceted approach to address absenteeism. This begins with identifying root causes, whether it's health, mental health, transportation, or family issues. And we'd like to offer targeted supports such as access to our social worker, counselors, and we set up parent-teacher conferences as needed. Engagement with families has been central to this effort. With over 10 home visits and growing, and daily follow-up calls by me and our team, these steps aim to build trust and ensure that students and families feel supported. In addition, we are employing more formal strategies such as attendance contracts that outline specific attendance goals for students and their families. We actually bring them in, we have a contract, we sit down, we go over the details of the contract, and we all sign it and agree to it. And then we monitor it as we progress. When necessary, we escalate cases to the Erie County Child and Family Services. They will typically assign a probation officer to work with our families. Linking families with outside resources has been vital. Finally, we are committed to fostering a positive school environment by strengthening peer and teacher relationships and celebrating student successes through our Student of the Month initiative and our Just Say Hello events, which I will get to in a little bit. Next, I'll discuss our efforts to support students' sense of belonging, which aligns with Board Goal 2 on diversity, equity, and inclusion. A sense of belonging is fundamental to student well-being and engagement, and we are taking intentional steps to nurture it across the school community. Our Just Say Hello initiative, which is new this year, is one of the ways we are addressing this. Each month, we organize a student staff activity to create opportunities for connection. For example, our first event, a Get to Know a Trusted Adult, happened right here in our library. Here's some pictures of it. It was based around cider and donuts, and it was just grab a glass of cider and a donut and chill out and sit with a teacher or an adult. You can see the Great crowd, great conversation happening. Kids enjoyed it, very well attended. From September, we went to October, where we did a beaded bracelet activity. We did this in our cafeteria. You can see students lining up to grab supplies. Big crowds at this event. Lots of teachers there. After this event, we did bookmarks. It was a fall in love with reading during November. Students made a bookmark out of a slice of paper. We did leaves on it. And then we actually had Mrs. Krebs, if you remember, Mrs. Gail Krebs came in, ran our laminator. We laminated all of the bookmarks, poked a hole in the top. Kids had a great day personalizing their bookmarks. And, we kind of support our reading initiatives. In December, we did an ornament making. Students made an ornament for themselves, and they made one for the members of the Eden Heights community. Great turnout. We have great turnout at these events. We sometimes wrangle kids in that are hanging out for sports, like waiting, and they're kind of shy and embarrassed to come in. And we make them come in, and they have a blast. And sometimes kids just need that little nudge to come in and have some fun, but they sit with adults and they have a great time. These simple but meaningful activities allow students to connect with staff and peers in a relaxed, supportive environment. To ensure our efforts align with student needs and interests, we conducted a comprehensive survey. The survey asked students about their hobbies, interests, and ideas for clubs and activities in our school. It was a Google survey. We had all of our students take it. And the beauty of the survey was we could then take the information, we could upload it into our PowerSchool student management, link it to every student. So then we had the ability to analyze that data, download it into Excel spreadsheets, and really get a sense of what our kids do both inside and outside of school. And let me tell you, I'll get more into this a little bit later. They are very active. What we know is students that feel and have connections are happier and have better attendance. The results were encouraging. Of the 655 total students, and yes, we got them all to do it, which was no easy task. We hounded them. We called them out of study halls. They did this thing. And a lot of the seniors gave me a hard time on this because they were like, what do you care what we're doing? We're out of here soon. We made them do it. We said, we want to get to know you better. Over 465 students, 71% of our student body are involved in something we offer at Eden Middle and High School. I think that is a great statistic for us. This data gives us a solid foundation for continued engagement. And our next steps is to analyze the results further and have some direct conversations with our students. Over on the other side there, we have some quick facts. We offer 25 clubs and activities, along with a very strong athletic program with 23 sports in the fall, 15 in the winter, and 17 in the spring. I'm not going to go to that just yet. So one of the things that we were thinking is that as we're analyzing attendance and really focused on it this year, as we dove into our student interests, we really thought that we were going to find a connection between students being disconnected and having high absentee rates. And what we really found is our students with absenteeism concerns are actually very connected. They were involved in activities. They had great, robust friend groups. So where I thought we were going to see these students that weren't coming to school because they didn't have anything here, they actually had quite a bit here and had great friend groups. So that was positive information. And it just helps inform us as we kind of keep battling absenteeism, finding ways to come to school. So our goal is to continue to expand these opportunities and ensure all students have access to activities that align with their interests and passions. Beyond school, our students are incredibly active in the community. One of the things this survey did is it really gave us a strong picture of who our students are and what they're involved with in a way that would take you forever just having conversation with students. They participate in a range of activities from church groups, scouts to sports, travel sports, volunteering at food pantries, animal rescues. They're also engaged in unique pursuits like parking cars at the Bills games, working on their dirt bikes and tractors, and participating in our local fire departments and our 4-H programs. And here is a list that I compiled of just some of their outside activities. I mean, one kid makes pies and sells them. I just thought we bumped into so many neat answers through this survey of really cool things that people do as hobbies outside of school. Because we know we have the data on everybody that's in a club and activity that we run. We had no clue of all the great things and cool things they do outside of here. So recognizing and celebrating these interests is another way we foster a sense of belonging and just get to know our students all that much better. In conclusion, we are very proud of the progress we have made at improving attendance and fostering belonging. We know there is more to be done, and we are committed to continually refining our strategies to meet the needs of all of our students. I welcome your feedback, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
We have the number of the person that makes pies.
I do.
No, just kidding. That could be a very lucrative thing.
Thank you.
Jeff, I do have two quick questions. I just want to make sure I understood your data correctly. So you're saying 3 students to date have already missed 18 days of school?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, that's a lot. So the Erie County Child and Family Services, when they intervene, is that via a call to CPS or is that a separate?
They're kind of combined, and
Okay.
there's a couple legs, I believe, of CPS. I really don't know the exact details.
Okay.
That's the term that, or the agency that we call.
Okay. I was just curious. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. The one with the Care for Dogs is an interesting one because I may know somebody that's doing that as a career right now through
Right.
Rover and stuff like that. So he or she may be making like $1,200 this week dog sitting.
Yeah.
So there's a career out there, rover.com. Jeff, one other question. I know it kind of falls in regards to where we're at. Can you just give me the structure of AEP? I just want to get clarification of what AEP looks like. My understanding is a 2-part thing, and it's grown over the last few years where it used to be just as a study hall where you get your work done, but it's more than that now, correct?
Correct. We've expanded a little bit. Mr. Iwanko really spearheads it. I can speak to it though. I don't know if he's here. He can also come up. So the way it works at Eden Middle and High School is we have academic probation. That's our power management, student management system, scours every student, and it looks for failing 1 or borderline in 2 classes. If that happens, you're placed on probation for 5 weeks. In that 5 weeks, every student on a Friday, their teacher looks at the student and will assign an S or a U on how their week was. And they typically will put a comment if there's a U. So if parents look at it, they say, why did my son or daughter get a U? They're missing an assignment. So the way it works is if you have 1 U or more, you have to attend AEP. Specifically, if you want to participate in an extracurricular. So 1 U and you attend AEP Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after school, you're eligible. After that, you still have to attend because we want the academic support in place, but you are no longer eligible to participate. Now, what we've done is we expanded this opportunity a little bit with our Learning Lab program, which is really just a very structured study hall with a certified teacher. We have allowed some students to attend a Learning Lab that will count as a session of AEP for their eligibility in athletics or an activity, dance or whatever we have, happen to go on here. Jay, did I miss anything or do you want to add anything?
Okay. No,
Did
that's what
I answer that for you,
Yeah,
Mr.
I just
Sutton?
wanted to clarify. So I, when I first, I've been out 4 years and it was just, basically after school, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you went there and got your work done. But I knew we were working on it. I just wanted to make sure we all understood what the structure looks like moving forward. So perfect. That's exactly, you answered exactly what I was looking for. Rover.com, trust me.
That's for the dog. That's for the dog care.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with your
No,
presentation.
I'm not, but
So anyway, really nice job. Really appreciate the focus on attendance and belonging. Incredibly important because both of those things go to academic achievement, right? In terms of chronic absenteeism, just so the board understands, chronic absenteeism is typically when a student misses 10% of the school year. It's a 180-day school year. So a student who is on track to miss 18 days of school year would be on that path to chronic absenteeism. Now, you did say there's a couple of students who are already there, but what you've shared with me, which is not appropriate to share further in this conversation, is those students and their situations are very well known to both Mr. Cervoni, Mr. McDonough, Mr. Iwanko, and our entire student services team. There is linkage outside of school as well, and the effort to bring those students back into the fold is ongoing. Those are extreme cases, but there's other cases where Mr. Cervoni's intervention and the team's intervention is trying to circumvent that path. And one of the things that you really can't measure is the number of students in our school who say, I don't want Cervoni showing up at my house, so I think I'm going to go in today. And that's a real thing. If it gets back to me, it's a real thing. Nobody back there, that wouldn't be
Right,
part of
no,
that,
those are,
but really nice job.
thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
just one other thing. We need to update our district goals to include belonging into that one.
Okay.
Just saying.
I just have a quick question because you brought up AEP. I was planning on actually discussing it during the board roundtable. Do you want me to discuss it now or wait?
I mean, at this point, if you have a specific question about AEP that Mr. Cervoni can answer, that would be fine. If it's more general about the program, then that probably should wait. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right,
Nice
thank
job.
you. Appreciate it.
At this time, are there any requests to remove any items from the consent agenda? There are none. Approval of consent agenda items.
Second.
Any discussion?
Oh, sorry, wait, back up. I screwed it up again. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, consents items be approved.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's a tree on my head.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
This is the approximate position and time that the board has designated to receive statements from individuals and groups. The board will review all statements, then respond appropriately at a future meeting. All persons in attendance are required to sign the attendance sheet and designate their representation status. For example, a parent, teacher, bus driver, chamber of commerce, etc. There is a 2-minute time limit. Nobody? Okay. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation for the purpose of retirement of math teacher Marie Benlin be accepted effective July 1st, 2025. The board and administration wish to thank Mrs. Benlin for her 26 years of service to the district.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried. Congratulations.
Yes. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the registration of Laura Birkby be accepted effective December 20th, 2024. The board and administration wish to thank Mrs. Birkby for her 4 years of service to the district.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation of teacher aide Jillian Smigelski be accepted effective December 20th, 2024. The board and administration wish to thank Mrs. Smigelski for her service in the district.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, after successfully completing his probationary period, Patrick Ty be permanently appointed as a bus driver effective June 10th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, after successfully completing his probationary period, Thomas Talbot be permanently appointed as a bus driver effective September 17th, 2024.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, after successfully completing her probationary period, Judith Rizone be permanently appointed as a bus attendant effective September 17th, 2024.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, after successfully completing her probationary period, Jenny Rocco be permanently appointed as a school nurse effective November 28th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, after successfully completing his probationary period, Benjamin Marandola be permanently appointed as a bus attendant effective January 25th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Amanda Pachazinski be appointed on probation as secretary to the superintendent / district clerk effective January 31st, 2025, and ending July 30th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah,
All in
just-
favor?
Just one comment, folks. First off, your first order of business after January 31st is finding the missing gavel. Secondly, I want the board to be aware that, and I've mentioned this before, we had over 20 people express interest in the position. We had 16 applicants who were reviewed and 5 that applicants who were fully reviewed, and then 5 that we brought in for an interview. While Amanda is a familiar face, she's well beyond that and is by far the best candidate for the position. I look forward to working with her. You are not filling anyone else's shoes because that's impossible. And we're not going to talk too much about Barb, but we'll save that for January, where I have time to build up my repertoire, if you will. So, before you vote, I just wanted you to be aware of the process and the outstanding candidate that is before you right now.
Congratulations.
Not yet, you didn't vote. yet.
Any other discussions?
Yes. You're going to have to teach me how to pronounce your name, so I apologize if I butchered your name.
All right, we really don't need the back gavel.
Okay.
Just take up space on the desk. All right, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Motion carried. Congratulations.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Kelly Mazer be appointed on probation as payroll clerk effective January 6th, 2025, and ending July 5th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in again. So Kelly's with us this evening, and thank you for coming. The board will remember that we had a long time employee that was responsible for payroll that we attempted to replace. And we had to move a little bit sideways and work with the CBO to help us with payroll. We're going to maintain that relationship with BOCES for the remainder of this year as Kelly gets her feet under her and learns the position. She's got someone right over here that's going to help train as well. So our transition plan is really a solid one, obviously overseen by Mrs. May. So again, we had a number of applicants, more than we expected. This is a hard position to fill. And Kelly has some outstanding experience that I think is going to be a real asset for us.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Rachel Kerr be appointed as a long-term substitute teacher replacing Madison Weber effective September 5th, 2025, and ending April 1st or 24 and ending April 1st, 2025. Salary is based upon ETA contract step 1.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Michael Jurwitz be appointed on probation as a maintenance mechanic effective January 6, 2025, and ending July 5th, 2025. Salary is based upon CSEA contract level 10, step 3 and 4.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the results from the capital project vote are as follows. Proposition 1, $30 million dollar proposition, 352 yes, 172 no. Proposition 1 passed. Proposition 2, 10,700,000, 222 yes, 302 no. Proposition 2 failed.
Second, sorry. I thought we were just stating.
No. Any discussion? I'm a little disappointed. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We tried to keep it as clean as possible and not go for the shiny stuff. Because out there was a $11 million softball, baseball field. We chose not to go that direction. We chose to go the direction of maintaining our buildings, maintaining, something that everybody's going to be able to use, and the voter spoke. So I'm just going to leave it at that. It's disappointing. It didn't pass, and more to come. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just want to think on Monday, I kept thinking, Jeff, what you said about you want a school the kids can be proud of. And I know the kids are, the changes we've had at the GLP, the cafeteria looks amazing, the changes here. I have 4 students in this building and they love the change. they're proud of their school. My one son, he said, our school doesn't look so poor anymore. Those were his exact words. This is what a teenager thinks. So with this family, I keep thinking, how can we still make our kids proud of the school? What changes can we make? And I know, I care about what's on our walls, but like our graduation pictures. And I'm talking about this building, they started, I think at 1996, 95, and they stopped at 2019, so for the last 5 graduation classes aren't on the walls. And then the banners in the cafeteria stop at graduation year 2017. So just, things like that. I don't know who updates that, but it's kind of looks to the students like, oh, it's just forgotten about. Or the pictures at the GLP, I know they have pictures. I don't know how often those are updated on the walls, which they're super cute, fun pictures, but I just like things like that, I think could updates like that, things we were doing, if we could continue that, I think that would, I'm sure your wife redecorates the house once in a while, puts up new pictures. No, others do, but things like that,
So I think my best response to that would be, that's something that you may want to bring to your shared decision-making team. I don't know about the graduation photos. I do recall you mentioning that to me before. I don't know why they stopped or if
Well, I
those
guess probably
photos-
like
Like,
20,
probably
24,
20.
20
I know-
didn't
I know
start.
about
We-
2020.
2020, but yeah.
But in terms of those building-wide components, it we probably should go through the shared decision-making team.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who, those are just things.
And I also
noticed.
know that if it's not in place yet, I know that they're working on developing a student advisory team, which would be a great, Mr. McDonough, a great opportunity to gather information from the students on things that we can do around the building. Okay, if we can't do the big things, maybe we can do a lot of little things and they look big. Right?
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the corrective action plan required to be sent to the New York State Comptroller's Office be approved.
Second.
Any discussion about that?
No.
Thank you. Worst summer ever. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the transportation route spreadsheet effective December 20th, 2024 be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Wait, let's go back to this. No, never mind. I was gonna get electric buses. All right, all in favor? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation, the following sports teams be combined with other districts for athletic participation. Game day cheer with Eden and North Collins, boys volleyball with Eden and North Collins, football with Eden and North Collins, girls swimming with Eden and Gowanda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, overnight wrestling trips for Friday, January 10th through 2025 through January 11th, 2025 at Falconer High School, and February 28th, 2025 through March 2nd, 2025 state wrestling meet at the Albany MVP Arena be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the 2025-2026 budget calendar be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
Next, we have the business report.
Okay, so start with an update on school tax revenue. To date, we have received 98% of the total school tax revenue. Towns have now turned over that tax collection to Erie County. We will be expecting Erie County to make the district whole, as we had talked about at the last board meeting, sometime early in the new year. They'll make us whole with the outstanding principal payment of the school tax bills, and then they will keep any interest and penalties that are received after that point. Secondly, as part of the New York State enacted budget for 24-25, it included a provision for the Rockefeller Institute to conduct a study in order to assess the state's foundation aid formula and report on any findings and or modifications suggested on that formula. So as a reminder, foundation aid is the largest portion of state aid funding that the school district does receive. The report was released on December 2nd and included over 300 pages of recommendations for the state education department. We are currently examining the report and will discuss any potential impacts to Eden as we head into the budget process for 25-26. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the superintendent's report.
Okay, I just want to start off talking about the capital project, and thank you to the Eden community for taking the time to vote for capital project 2024. Proposition 1 is $19.3 million, if I remember correctly. That work is primarily the replacement of the Eden Elementary roof and the middle high school roof, the building that we're in right now, the GLP parking lot, some ventilation updates and door replacement at GLP, renovating 2 pre-K classrooms, and then some parking lot and sidewalk replacement at this building as well. That's the maintenance component of the project. Planning and design work will begin early next year, early in 2025. Obviously, it's very important. It's a very important proposition because it addresses a number of maintenance items, as I just mentioned. So thank you to all who came out to vote. Moving on from there, I have some very, very good news, and I'm pleased to announce that Eden Elementary Auditorium has been reopened for use. The board will recall that the aud was off limits for over a year as we investigated what caused plaster to fall from the ceiling. The cause was a leaky roof, which we are replacing, of course. The leaks have been fixed currently, and as part of, let me move on there. Earlier this month, the company that specializes in all things to do with plaster examined the ceiling of the auditorium. They did some additional demolition for some of the areas that were damaged by water, and they deemed the auditorium safe for occupancy. Our staff will continue to monitor the aud for leaks and for any other plaster-related issues. But as of this moment, we are good to utilize that space. So And I know this Friday, there'll be a movie being played in there as part of the send off to winter recess for those students. Finally, I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday season and a happy new year to our board members and our administrators and our students and our new employee that is with us, as well as anyone who is monitoring this meeting from afar. I hope you have a safe, healthy and restful holiday and a happy new year. Thank you.
That we voted on for the capital project. I think the number, we voted on 30 million for Prop 1, I think. Can we just go back to that really quick?
Just verify that.
It's like 30
I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't.
for
Well,
Prop
was-
1.
It's,
Yeah, so prop one says 30 and prop.
And the
one
actual-
says
19
something.
It should be
change.
19.3, I believe.
Clerk,
Yeah.
redo that.
Yeah, let's correct that right now. Thank you.
I think we're all
Where
just
is
a
it?
little Not paid. Dawned on me.
Read it wrong.
So what I suggest to the board is that we make a motion to correct new business A, results from capital project vote, to correct proposition number 1 to equate to 19.3 million, not 30 million. 30 million was the totality of the project. And that's right on the numbers.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. Mrs. Thomasula, there's a motion on the floor to correct under new business A, results from capital project vote under number 1, proposition number 1 should read 19.3 million. 352 yes, 172 no, proposition 1 passed. You're gonna ask for a second.
Second.
So we got a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor of the motion?
Hi.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried. Good catch.
Next, we have the student report.
In December, from the 2nd to the 6th, we did a Toys for Tots drive. From the 9th to the 13th, we did a pajama drive for grannies and pappies. And on the 13th, everybody who donated got to wear their pajamas as a little bit of an reward. On the 10th, we did our December Just Say Hello meeting. There were snacks in the cafeteria and everybody got to make ornaments, one to take home and one to donate to Eden Heights. And on the 13th, we did the middle school holiday dance. Oh, wait. That is going to be rescheduled because of the snow day. We're doing Winter Spirit Week right now, and on the 20th, we're going to have the Arctic Raider races up at the turf. Any questions? I have no idea.
Thank you. Next, we have board report roundtable.
I didn't want to say anything when we were voting on the capital and project, but I did want to just make a comment that I understand people's vote. I do question it a little bit. It's just the nature of my personality, but as a whole, the school district, not just this one, every school district has always kind of been, for lack of a better term, the punching bag for people when they're feeling frustrated. And I know that the economy has been a huge source of frustration for people over the last few years. That said, my heart breaks for the staff at the elementary school, for the students there who are really looking forward to some modernization in that room, in that space. For the students who work so hard in music and theater, who are really looking forward to having an updated space that they could use. I'm sorry that it didn't work out. I really am. I feel like that is one area that really needs to be given more attention. I feel like as a whole, and I'm not faulting anybody, we've given a lot of attention to sports. And that's not a dig at sports, but I think it was music and theater's time, and I'm super sorry that it didn't work out. Not to say that we won't, as a team, go back to the drawing board and figure out how we can make it happen for everybody, but from the bottom of my heart, I feel it's hard not to take it personally. It is, so. That's it.
Agree.
I would just add that we've been on the board now 10 years. This was our third capital project, and my experience is that if we wait, the expense doubles. And so if these items that were not passed are necessary, which we certainly believe them to be necessary, it's just going to be more expensive when we get to them 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now. I don't know what it would have cost to build the turf field, but at the time we felt it very expensive. But my guess is if we were to build a turf field today, it would be 2 or 3 times what it cost to build the turf field. So 4 times. And so with state budgets getting tighter, I think as we do capital projects down the road, I think it's critical for the voters to understand. And again, I don't take it personally. People are free to vote their mind, but to understand, I'm a numbers guy. If we don't do it now, it's twice as expensive when we have to do it down the road. And so I think it was a missed opportunity, and for not only for everyone's taxpayers' pocketbook, but also obviously for the kids that we're not going to have the opportunity to use those upgraded facilities. So.
School roof is really a problem. Is there any way of having funds to just redo that one roof, Jeff?
I'm not sure I understand your question, but I think I can answer it. The elementary roof was a problem. We believe that we've solved the leak in terms of, temporarily. The roof still needs to be replaced.
Yeah, that's
Right,
yeah.
yeah, so I'm gonna be a little superstitious here, fully stitious, that we don't currently have any active leaks that we're aware of. And that's why we're able to reopen the auditorium. But when it comes to roofs, they have a lifespan, right? And it's typically either 25 or 30 years. The roof on this building and on the elementary building were 30-year roofs. They will be out of warranty right around the time they'll be under construction, which is perfect timing. Because the district will receive the full 78.2% aid back on the roof because it's out of warranty. If we did it early, if we went out tomorrow and said, we're fixing this roof, we're putting a brand new roof on tomorrow, the district would be on the hook for the full amount with no aid back. It's the way it is. That's why this board, long before you ever met me, planned out this part of the project to include these roofs. Now, of that $19.7 million, right now, about $15 million is roofs. It's kind of boring, but you need to have a roof, right?
Yeah. So will that include the elementary school roof too,
Yeah.
that we can do?
Yeah.
That's very good news.
Thank you.
Any other?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, so as you know, anyone who's been to a shared decision team meeting at the middle school, high school, like AEP, academic probation, it's always this huge discussion, right? And at the beginning of the year, many parents and students, including myself, received a letter that their student was on academic probation, and like no one knew what it meant. I know some board members got a call from parents. So about, let's see. So I realized basically academic probation is you just get a letter for 5 weeks, letting you know how your student's doing. But I was talking about 2 weeks ago with an Eden parent who has some students who go to this school and one child who goes to a different high school. Now, talking with that parent, she raved about how that school gives so many opportunities for improvement. If a student fails a test, they're not told study harder or go to this study hall after school. They're given opportunities to do test corrections for partial credit, extra credit assignments. They stay after to work with that student. And I know we have some teachers here who do those things. Some of our math teachers especially, I have heard stories, I witnessed it personally, that they really want the students to learn the material. So I bring this all up because kind of as we've established, AEP is more like a study hall, right? It gives those students maybe extra time to catch up. You know, I know some students who have 1 or 2 study halls a day during the school day. You know, so staying after school, say a student is struggling with chemistry, having a math teacher there might not be the best option to help remediate that student. So of course, I go down a rabbit hole in my job in the medical field. It's so much of evidence-based best practice. So going down the rabbit hole of allowing test corrections. There's so much research that supports allowing students to do test corrections facilitates learning, right? Like that's the ultimate goal. We want our students to learn. Hold on, I took lots of notes, sorry. You know, for example, and I can share this personal story. I have a child who came home from school the one day and he was like, I am never studying again. It was such a waste of time. I studied, I memorized it, and I still failed a test. So now we're worried about him. Great, you're going to be on academic probation. You're going to be ineligible to participate. So I emailed the teacher and I said, hey, what can I do to help my son? What can I do to help? And the teacher emailed me the test. She sent me screenshots of the test for me to go over with him, which I haven't printed out because my printer still doesn't have ink. But I kind of go through all of this to ask, you know, for all the students, for not the students who are failing because they just didn't do the work, right? Because that's, you know, some students, they just don't do the work. You know, and some teachers are gracious and they say, okay, if it's a day late, the best you can do is a 75. 2 days late, the best you can do is a 50. You know, they give some grace, but also have expectations. But my question is, and again, going down this rabbit hole of allowing test corrections, even if the test was reviewed in class, the benefit of allowing test corrections. One Reddit thread, a teacher had said her school policy was, if a student gets below a 70 on an assessment, they have to do test corrections because that they find facilitates learning. And I think the ultimate goal, you know, for any teacher should be, they want the students to learn, not just pass the test. So I guess my question is, my thought is, you know, how are we facilitating learning in our students who are struggling, besides just a learning lab? Because, you know, like I have a child, again, personal story, who would stay after AEP when he didn't have to because Paula Farrell was his teacher. He was struggling in algebra. So he stayed after purposefully to work with her, which was great. But I have someone else I know who's struggling in English. You know, unfortunately, that math teacher is probably not the best source to help that student with that class. So I just kind of hope we can maybe look at what research says that we can benefit learning. Maybe look at, you know, like a teacher said, the policy in their school, you know, allowing test corrections, you know, instead of just saying, oh, study better next time. Well, you're ineligible for a week because you failed this test, even though you studied and you tried really hard. Because this is my personal story and I know it's not the only one, but I just share it because I want to talk about it. And my son gave me his blessing to share his story. I wouldn't have shared it without that. So I guess, you know, looking at research, how are we using that to help our students learn? That's my.
So I'm just gonna paraphrase, okay? And I'm gonna nitpick just a little bit.
That's fine. Thank you.
No, it's important. There's nothing to be worried about. So first and foremost, the Board of Education sets policy, okay? Nobody else, not me, not our administrators, not our teachers. If you're interested in a policy that requires the opportunity for test corrections, we could look at that. I'll be honest with you, and I've not heard of a policy to do that. I think that might be a little bit of an overreach from a board.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, no, I'm just
But
saying
if,
like,
but if you're recommending that as a practice, I completely understand where you're coming In terms of practice, that does go to, individual teachers have some leeway there. Administrators' responsibility and Ms. Gregory's role and Mr. McDonough, Mr. Cervoni, and Mr. Iwanko's role, they can strongly encourage that. I agree with you that there is a benefit there. Okay. So that's the test corrections, but the AEP discussions are a little bit separate from that. And what I heard you say is not every student needs the help of the expert that's overseeing AEP that day, right? Like for use the
Right,
English for
correct.
example.
Like AEP is not going to benefit every student who's failing.
AEP is not going to benefit, absolutely. But what you also said is if my student needs help with English and the math teacher has AEP that day, how is that going to help? Right. Okay. So we could look at that, we could expand how many teachers we have for AEP. We would need to budget for that. Okay. We would need to, and which is fine. We're going into budget season. We have a great calendar. Very excited about that, by the way. And I think that maybe at some point we're going to want to hear from Mr. Iwanko about how creative we've become with the different ways that AEP can be, those requirements can be met, because the goal of AEP is not punishment. It's academic improvement, if you will. Okay. I think we're in a line there.
Yeah, no, I was just basically just going down a rabbit hole of research and how are we facilitating learning in our students who are struggling. And right now, kind of, we have the learning lab in AEP, but there's no like individual teachers, and of course they can do what they want. But I was just kind of having a teacher send me a copy of a test was just kind of like interesting.
So that experience wasn't great.
Right.
Okay. But it's a legitimate question. And I know that, and you've heard this a lot. We haven't talked about it a bit, but it's coming. The secondary plan, I'm coming to you, Mrs. Gregory, pay attention. The secondary plan regarding MTSS is starting to grow. Right. And one of the really neat things, and I'm looped into this conversation, and you and your MTSS friends are having a blast creating this, is Ms. Gregory has now created a regional group who are all collectively trying to create a multi-tiered system of support at the secondary level. The reason it's so hard to do is it's very different at a middle high school where students are moving from class to class and they have multiple teachers and so on and so forth. So the true model doesn't exist. And we're kind of building that plane as we fly it. And I appreciate that work. Obviously there were a lot of messages today that I'm reflecting on that. And I do appreciate that. But you're absolutely right. We need to get better at how we're helping struggling students. And that is one of the steps we're taking.
Yeah. And I just share personal stories because that's all I know. I know another student whose great grandmother is raising them. A 70-year-old woman is going to struggle with material we're learning today. I mean, I'm 43 and I struggle with, I couldn't help my daughter with her math problems.
No, it's all salient points.
Jeff, can I just say something really quick as a mom of someone who just graduated and, she's a kid who prided herself on doing well. I think this is a time when kids struggle and it's hard to watch them. But I think as parents, we have to encourage them. And this was always my first response to her. Did you go to the teacher? I know we have AEP, but she almost always found a teacher who was willing to either come in early, stay late, gave up their lunch because she needed it explained differently. And I think it's important to help kids get there first before they get to the test. Like they need to understand maybe while the material's happening, like this is a little confusing. Like maybe I need a little reteaching, pre-teaching or something prior to getting to the point where, because if you're studying really hard, that's great. But if you're studying the wrong way or the wrong thing, you're just setting yourself up for failure. So, and this is not just for you, but for any parent, like I think these kids need to have, and it's intimidating. Email's a great thing because you don't have to ask a teacher right to their face now. Like when I was a kid, like, please. So I think encouraging the kids, and then if they're met with roadblocks there, then I would step in as a parent. And like I said, those instances were few and far between. I mean, she had one teacher who could never come in early or stay late, but she's like, come down on my lunch. Here's my study hall. We'll figure it out. And they did. So, I mean, I think by and large, the teachers are willing to do whatever they can. My daughter also found Google to be a huge help sometimes when she couldn't get into a teacher right away, especially when she was taking AP classes. There's 5,000 videos of people teaching the same content in 12 different ways, and she would just find somebody who would help her get it. So, I mean, I think there's ways that kids can help themselves too, but I don't doubt that we can always look to improve
Yeah,
how we're
in terms
supporting.
of resources too, though, did we launch Varsity Tutors? Am I saying that right?
Yes, I got
Okay.
the email. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. Yeah. It's a great resource. And now you have to say, like, I can, I've heard recently in a story of, Mr. Pearson going above and beyond to help a student who was struggling. So I think we do, should commend the teachers, because, like you said, most teachers are available and they do. I just, I think. Yeah, I'm always looking, I have 5 kids and I have some kids who things come really easy, and kids that struggle and have, IEPs and stuff. So I think it's, and I have a lot of family in the district and friends. So I hear lots of stories and so everyone has a story, and it's very different than when we went to school for sure. So that's the one thing I always tell my kids. Did you email your teacher? Did you talk to your teacher? No, but
Anything else from the board? Just like to wish everybody happy holidays, happy new year. And what else we got up on the docket there, Cheryl?
And that upon the recommendation of the superintendent at 6:58 PM, Board of Education enter executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person or persons.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carried.
You guys need.